You pay income tax. Who here has ever read the Income Tax Act before paying their income tax? It's 2,566 pages long. Did you read it? No. There's a maxim in law, a Roman maxim that says, let he who would be deceived be deceived. If you aren't even willing, if someone comes up to you and says, you have to do this, why? Oh, how do you know that? Everybody knows it. Oh, really? Nobody read the act, but everybody knows it. You start reading these acts and you start finding the remedy within it. If you are willing to accept, if you are willing to go and get a license, you are submitting an application for a license, what are you doing? Giving up a right. You're asking permission. You are asking permission to engage in a completely lawful activity. Therefore, what are you? You're a child who asks permission to engage in lawful activities. Children ask that. Mommy, can I have a cookie? If you're old enough, let's suppose for a moment, your parents own a bakery, and every day you go to that bakery and you ask the person, can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie? Sure, you can have a cookie. Don't tell your dad, here you go, or no, your dad said you can't. But you go and you ask for a cookie, and you don't have the right to come and take one. But there comes a day where you grow up, your dad passes away, you inherit that shop. Are you asking for a cookie anymore? No. My cookies, give or find the door. You have the power then. Our buddy, this child of the province thing came up because I'm rather active in writing my letters and whatnot. Our buddy Digger, he's coming out of Park Royal and he's got his keys. I think he was going to his car, I don't know. But let's say he is, just for the sake of the story. He's going to a car. The cops stop and they pull up and they say, well, who are you? Do you have your driver's license? We want to see your ID. And Digger knows his rights, eh? He's like, why are you asking me for ID when I don't have an obligation to have such a thing, but you do? I want to see your ID, I want to see your business card, I want to see your badge. And they started, well, do you have a driver's license? Are you claiming I need such a thing? And they asked him something very telling. So you're not a child of the province then? No. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Drove right off. There is the legal status of being a child of your province because you haven't grown up enough. You go and you ask permission to engage in these lawful activities when you have remedy in the form of a claim of right that you can make. Anything you can do under license within the legislative framework, you must be able to do without license outside of that framework, or else the licensing authority is licensing unlawful activities. Can you get a license to do B&Es? Can you get a license to do assaults? No. Well, that's James. Leave the funny to me, buddy. The question we're at, who is going to be master? That's the only question. Humpty Dumpty knew it. Who is going to be master in this game? Are you going to be master of the government, or is government going to be master over you? Now, how do we claim mastery over people? Or not so much over them, but how do we ensure that they aren't trying to be masters over us? As they have treated us like children, because we were acting like children, so must we treat them like children. Who here are, most are parents, I imagine? Everyone have kids? Are you not masters over your kids? Why? Well, when you were younger, when they were younger maybe. When they were younger, what makes you master over them is your ability to grab them and raise them up. They come and they try kicking you in the shin, you laugh at them, ha ha ha, that doesn't hurt, and you raise them up. Who's in charge now? You are clearly the one who has the power if you can raise up the people in government. And the trick to this, why can you do this from your kids? Why is it possible for you to accept your kids doing things that you might not like, and yet you don't get all angry with them as you would with the government? Why? Because you love them. When they were born, you allowed your heart to expand, and that expansion of the heart gave you the power to raise them up. You're going to be treating the government in the exact same fashion. You're going to allow your heart to expand, and you are going to have power over them because you know that they are the children. You have the moral high ground. You're acting mature. You are willing to deal with them on whatever level they want, but you have the power. And once they start recognizing that, if they come at you and, oh, put him up, put him up. Oh, really? You're so cute. Come here. Pick him up. Now get in your room. when you bring out that attitude, it's far different. I had to go to jail a couple of times. I mean, in this action, it's not easy. You know, I've been placed under arrest. But when they came and arrest me, oh, Mr. Menard, we have to place you under arrest. Okay, fine. Sat there with my coffee. Finally, the paddy wagon pulled up. Okay, well, we got to put cuffs on you now. Okay, fine. Put it on, and it's under protest and duress every step of the way. He noted the protest. I get into the holding cell, and I get in there, and there's like 15 people in there. I'm like, so who's here under statutory charges? I'm going to teach you about the law. 15 seconds later, the door opens. They grab me, take me out. They couldn't get me out of that holding cell fast enough, eh? And they're asking me to sign an ROR, a return on recognizance. And I'm not signing that. Well, you have to sign it. You'll go back in that holding cell. Fine, bunch of people in there to teach. Okay, you just sit there. The sergeant, he tried intimidating me. Come here, because I was sitting over there. You just sit there and you make up your mind. So he calls me over. Don't you try to intimidate me. You're going to sign this document. I'm saying, okay, fine, listen. You want me to sign it? Yes, I do. I'll sign it. But it's under protest and duress. Fine, just sign it. So I signed it under duress. As I give it to him, you know that signature isn't really there. Take it, got out. They didn't want me in there. If you go through this enough times, they get to the point where they know that you know what is right, what is wrong, and you're willing to sacrifice for it. If when you go through these procedures, you are acting with respect to the cops, if you aren't questioning so much, I try not to question their intelligence, their integrity, or their intent. Merely the meaning of the words that they're using to claim authority and their knowledge of what those words mean. If they don't have that information, they should just back right off. And the cops, at least out in Vancouver and BC, they're coming around. They are coming around in a huge way. People are getting tickets saying, that's a bill of exchange and I want the original. Another one. Let's close that one. Here's a warning. And they're not doing it anymore. How do we get to this point, though? How do we get them to recognize that they're the nanny and we have grown up and they have no more power as nanny over us? It's about how we treat them, about how we act. If we're shitting our pants, pardon the language, ladies and sensitive guys, but if we're pooping our drawers, nanny has a right and a duty to put diapers on us, and she will do that. If you're throwing a tantrum, nanny has the power and the right to come grab you, throw you in your room until you settle down. If you're rebellious, nanny's got a right to put limits upon you as long as you're in the house. Nanny is tired. She wants us to stop rebelling. If you get to the point where you say, nanny, I'm not rebelling anymore, I'm just old enough now and I'm in charge of the house and you're not telling me what time I'm going to bed. I'm telling you I'm going out all night, I'll be back at 7, you'll have breakfast ready. You take power over them when you act within that capacity. If you treat them like children, if you aren't shitting your pants, you're not throwing tantrums, and what I sense a lot of the people in the freedom movement, they're very rebellious towards everything that they're doing. We want to get away from that. We don't want to be in permanent conflict with these people. They want us in conflict. That generates the revenue. We want to find the place of peace and the place of abundance. So how do we do this? When they're coming at us and they're making ludicrous demands upon us that we know we could make upon them, how do we find that balance? Since it is about peace, and we are going to be the adults here, what I think of mud pies. Your kid comes to you and they've got a mud pie and they say, here, look, mommy, daddy, I baked you a pie. And you say, that's not a pie, that's a bunch of mud with some rabbit droppings spelling out I love you and a bunch of leaves on it. I'm not eating that. Your kid's going to cry. You dishonored them. You've locked them out. I mean, people say, oh, that's not a real bill. We don't have real money. There's no real commercial transactions available to them. If you order your kid to bake you a pie and then you lock them out of the kitchen, you don't even give them access to the pantry, this mud pie is all they've got. Now, how do you deal with a mud pie when a kid comes and brings it to you? To make them not cry, to accept it, you say, oh, that's a beautiful mud pie. Thank you very much. I'm going to eat that right up. Hey, I've got to share it with you. Go get some cutlery. Even a 4-year-old knows, I don't want to eat that. Well, you want me to eat it? Here, look, I'll taste some. You put a little on your, hey, isn't that Barney? They turn around, you throw the mud away. Oh, that was a beautiful mud pie. Go get me some more. I want another mud pie, and this time you're going to eat it. If you can accept everything they bring you merely as mud pie, merely as a kid trying to serve you, trying to be nice to you. They're trying to give you a service, regardless of whether or not you accept it as edible. Then you start having power over them because you can accept without generating conflict. You can conditionally accept. You say, I accept whatever it is you're giving me upon this condition. You place your own conditions, and you make those conditions too difficult for them to fulfill. This is what the whole acceptance for value routine is about. You've all heard of acceptance for value? Trying to explain acceptance for value. Change the acceptance to accepted, change the for to as, and you accept it as valuable. Someone comes and brings you a mud pie, and you say, I accept that this is valuable. You give them evidence of this, now they can go to a third party. If someone gave me a document, a remittance, and I take it and I say, I accept that this is valuable, now give it back to them,